Ordinary use of presidential authority and could set the tone for Trump and others to then take actions like this immediately before they leave office.
Right. It's a large action to take, but also literally into closing hours of an administration. I mean, there's less time for it to be analyzed while that presidency is still ongoing, because the news cycle will move on necessarily. Today. So we will keep an eye on all of those spots, but right now the Trumps and the Bidens continue their coffee and tea private gathering there in the White House on the upper right part of your screen.
They're using all that. Yeah, so what you do is you got a piece of tape. Okay, I have zip ties. Hold that there. I got actually editing there we go. This will do the trick. Coming straight out, not like pinching off to the side or some shit like that. Okay, so you should be pretty good. You got some slack there. You're all good. Move this up close to your food, and you can see this okay. I would have just a little bit. It's not. I'm sure if I can bring it down a little bit. It's not too far down. Yeah. So this is good. garage, and we're gonna right back to the door. Hold that light check. Hold the light check.
travel pool. We're going inside.
Ladies and gentlemen, former Senate Majority Leader, the Honorable Mitch McConnell, accompanied by the Honorable Elaine Chao. Ladies and gentlemen, former speakers of the House of Representatives, the Honorable Kevin McCarthy, the Honorable John Boehner, accompanied by Mrs. Debbie Boehner, the Honorable Newt Gingrich, accompanied by Ambassador Callista Gingrich, and Mrs. Heather Foley.
lady. We'll come out and go get down this ramp, and then the two of them will go together. But I don't know if they'll go after.
Have our team all ready to go?
Right there, man.
Party gonna go separately, but they're gonna go be in the door into the windows right here. Like
Yes. Spouses will go first. Second spouses will go
Okay,
first.
so everybody will go in right.
Everybody's going to go, one car at a time. They'll fill up and leave. Next one comes up.
Okay, very good.
Not yet. Are you coming?
coming out.
Portico of the White House will be taking Doug Emhoff and Usha Vance off to the U.S. Capitol. They are departing now. We expect next to see Vice President Kamala Harris and the incoming Vice President-elect J.D. Vance, exiting next and getting into their limousine to be taken off to the U.S. Capitol. Of course, J.D. Vance, here in just a little over an hour and a half from now, will be the Vice President of the United States, being sworn in by Supreme Court Associate Justice Brett Kavanaugh, one of his longtime friends, as we're all reading up on history of all of the characters involved with this Inauguration Day. They've known each other since their Yale Law School days, so there's a fun fact for you. But here we're still looking at pictures of the White House where for the past little bit of time, under an hour, there's been a unofficial, casual, off the record, at least not privy to reporters like me, but a meeting between President Joe Biden, First Lady Jill Biden, and the incoming President Donald Trump, President-elect, and Melania Trump, gathering for one of these moments that we see on Inauguration days here. And soon, those two will also be getting into a car together and making that trip just a couple of miles down to the U.S. Capitol, where the rest of the official swearing in for Donald Trump's inauguration will be happening on this Monday, January 20th, here in Washington, D.C. So we're looking at those doors, waiting to see who's coming out next. Sagar, we can spend this moment, I guess, just to kind of talk a little bit about this last day in office for the Bidens, not just as an administration, but as a family. They have been living in the White House for 4 years. And once they leave here in just a few minutes, that move-out process really kicks in to do that turnover in between administrations. There's really only about 5 or 6 hours to get it all done. What all is going to exit those doors?
Yeah, it is a fascinating choreography. Now at the White House, we're looking at the North Portico. Well, they arrived and they'll be leaving. On the other side of the White House, there are moving trucks lined up that will be waved in the instant that the Bidens and the Trumps leave. One group will be moving all the Biden stuff out. One group will be moving all the Trump stuff in. In between, stripping all the beds, shampooing the carpets, replacing what needs to be replaced. Linens, towels, whatever it might be. Closets stocked. The White House usher's office would have
Incoming Vice President J.D. Vance making their exit.
Very well,
Let's listen in as they depart for the U.S. Capitol.
Great, thank you. Good morning. Stay warm.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Speaker, good morning. How do you feel this morning?
It's exciting. Bright, sunny outside, bright in our hearts.
Sir, what are you expecting on executive orders?
A lot. We'll see.
Thank you. do you feel this morning?
No interviews. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. What is your message today?
Thank you.
Sir, any comments? Thank you.
You have a team.
They're preceded by Senator Amy Klobuchar, a Democrat from Minnesota. Let's listen in as they leave the White House. We're seeing Joe Biden and Donald Trump pulling away from the White House. Again, this is Joe Biden's last time exiting the White House as the president of the United States.
So what are we? Good morning.
space, all things considered, for an entire swearing-in ceremony to be happening. Ordinarily would be out on the west front of the U.S. Capitol, but due to weather, everything is moved inside the Capitol Rotunda, where there are a number of seats arranged. But
we've alluded to it so many times, but it's just so odd, having been in Washington for so long, to look at these streets, and there are basically police officers and a few tourists and what look to be perhaps some construction workers. That's it. I mean, we would ordinarily have tens of thousands of people lining this route to get a look at that. And we've been in a lot of motorcades. That's quite a motorcade, even for Washington. With that look, heading up toward the United States Capitol, decked out in flags, and you can see those flags lining the street to give you a sense of just how cold it is here in Washington. That's the wind whipping those flags.
And we saw the wind so intense there at the White House on the North Portico that I saw one of the flags kind of knocked one of the Marines' caps backwards when they were holding the doors open for everyone. And it is extremely cold, but also blustery out there. So I'm glad you and I are inside.
Yeah, I think we've spent enough time out. Has upended years of planning, and kind of sent the district into a bit of a tailspin, trying to figure out security and, again, the ticketing at Capital One Arena. 250,000 people had tickets to watch this happen from the Capitol grounds. That arena sits 20,000. The math is not very good.
No, and all those tickets now are considered to be commemorative tickets because they didn't get you access to the Capital One Arena if you had one of those Capitol tickets initially. And I'm sure there are a lot of disappointed people who had come to town hoping to get that viewpoint, but there is the event at Capital One Arena. I'm sure that there are a lot of places around Washington where folks have gathered to watch what is history. Regardless of party, it is still a historic moment to watch a new president taking the oath, and it will look different. I mean, this had the Rotunda in 40 years, so a lot of people who would have been paying attention to all the coverage today maybe weren't so much 40 years ago. So that it'll look different, but it's still part of history.
As we said, 600 people fit inside the Rotunda. So, for example, the only four that have been physically allowed inside the Rotunda are three former Republican House Speakers. Newt Gingrich is there, John Boehner is there, Kevin McCarthy, not a good Trump ally, but he is there. And the House came into session this morning, quickly recessed so that members could make their way over, but that traditional roster of so many folks is not going to be in place this time. Though we do know that a lot of these tech billionaires that Donald Trump has allied himself with, who have flocked to Washington, not just today, but in the weeks since the inauguration, have also scored some prime seating near where the president-elect will take his oath.
It's always important in these sorts of circumstances to look and see who is in there and then try to telegraph as much as we can what that signifies. And I think we already know in the incoming Trump administration the sort of relationships that he has been working to build with some of those that we're going to be seeing in there. The motorcade is now going to be approaching the U.S. Capitol, where we will see all the people who just loaded up at the White House, then arriving at the Capitol. In about an hour, we will be seeing that swearing in take place for Donald Trump. Again, there on your screen, you see helicopter. It would be Marine One when a president is on board, but otherwise, that is what Joe Biden will be boarding after Donald Trump is inaugurated. That is what will take then the former president and former first lady off to Joint Base Andrews, where they will begin a trip out to California, a vacation, an opportunity to kind of reset after their time in the White House has concluded. But for the next hour and change, Joe Biden will still be president, and he will be at the U.S. Capitol with the incoming president, President-elect Donald Trump, who has been part of this motorcade, and it's coming from the White House. Down there is that shot you see of Pennsylvania Avenue leading up to the U.S. Capitol. Not outside, but inside, he waited for his second term in office. Here we see some of those shots of the motorcade to the area where all of the parties will be getting out of their limousines and walking into the Capitol.
And already you have Congress's top officials. You have House Speaker Mike Johnson, a Republican, who has very closely allied himself with the incoming president, saying to him, it's bright, sunny outside and bright in our heart. Then you have the Senate's top Democrat, Chuck Schumer, who walked in carrying a royal blue cap, and when asked how he feels today, said, feel great about the Bills. Now, that comes after the Buffalo Bills. Schumer, of course, from New York, beat the Baltimore Ravens last night to advance to the AFC Championship. So it was a way for Chuck Schumer to get in a plug for a home state team on the day after a big NFL playoff weekend.
We see these arrivals starting to happen there at the U.S. Capitol. Other officials there in the motorcade with the president and president-elect as they were making their way into the U.S. Capitol. Amy Klobuchar, the senator, as we just referenced earlier, but also some other elected officials, including Deb Fischer of Nebraska, and then also House lawmakers, Steve Scalise, Representative Hakeem Jeffries, and other White House staff and officials accompanying the president, First Lady, incoming President and First Lady, and then, of course, Vice President Kamala, her husband, and J.D. Vance and his wife. Just got. We just saw J.D. Vance and Usha Vance exiting their limousine, walking into the White House or to the U.S. Capitol.
You see even police officers who are used to this kind of thing.
Good morning, sir. How are you this morning?
Good
Mr.
morning. Thank you.
President Trump, how do you feel? President Biden?
Well,